His common name was Alexander, and the story went he was experimenting on mankind, and the father of the branch of man said he had no right to do this, and this launched a war for the souls of mankind on earth. By placing everyone in a hybrid body, it meant that either branch could seal the individual at the end of the cycle, rather than strictly the originating parent branch. It allowed the reptile branch, the specific predator of man, the ability to camouflage and enter our societies. If you gave them your oath, then they were allowed to seal you. The story went on that attacked. They pulled Earth through the eye into their territory called the Abyss. They drove the father of the branch of man out through the east gate, and Lilith, who gained control of the system key, locked us in and him out. The keys was used to capture life and bring it back through the gate, while the Ankh was used to put them back under the veil and erase their memory. Elizabeth, who was Lilith, married her brother Ea's son, Alexander, when she was young. When he was killed in the uprising, she married her fraternal twin, George. This earned them the name the incestuous twins. When George was killed, she married her son Charles to keep the coven custom of a diarchy. When all of this became an embarrassment, she used the Ankh and put everyone back under the veil again. This is why it was known that the Coven Age created all religions, and that they were called snake worship because they were the branch of Set, whom the Sumerian called An, and the Hebrew and Muslim called Solomon. In every single coven, from Buddha to Christ, the follower becomes incorporated, which gives silent consent for them to seal you at the time of the division of the families. Niflheim is not the name of a race. It means reanimated body. Lilith is queen of the Moloch. Set is the origin of cube worship. Both the El and the Moloch are the two offspring branches of Set, and this is in the Coptic record. Set An became Satan, as Gartha tunnels and Hollow Earth are just a pretty myth. You're dealing with the underworld. Their purpose is to add you to their ark. The illusion is that you're dealing with a species of man, whether it's the Nephilim, GFL, or Jesus. This is what Set looks like in the astral. He eats his share of the division of the families. This is the war between Satan and God. Now that I've introduced you to the myth and the legend, it's time to take a look behind the curtain of the Wizard of Oz. Everyone gets the red pill.
When I was talking with the gentleman from Belcom, and we were discussing the lie, everything he was telling me was different from what we were being told was the truth. And at one point I asked him, I said, man, you guys, you lied about a lot, didn't you? And instantly he said, no, we didn't lie about certain things, we lied about everything. None of it was true.
There are only three locations: heaven, the abyss, and the underworld. The abyss is negative space. It is a binary system fueled by the black sun, home of the Sith Lords and demons, which are beings of negative polarity.
Posee una órbita elíptica y viaja entre nuestro Sol y un Sol negro que se encuentra a 32 billones de kilómetros.
The definition of the creation is a construct. The planets are on poles, which are the origin of the 7 candlesticks. they can leave their pole and follow the tracks. You don't see the planets as they really appear. This is called an arc. Each branch has its own arc. This is the exterior of the construct. The degree lines on this image are not drawn in, they are physical. This is called the map. This is an image of Venus as she really appears, taken February 25th. This is an image of Earth, taken March 10th. Each branch has a father. Mankind is special because it is the only branch whose specific father is God. The seal is a device. It marks the individual as belonging to that specific family. This allows them to be transported to the ark at the time of the division. The book of life is a record of all life that the father of a branch sent into the creation. It is used to recall the family members when it's time to return to their ark. NASA, which is DoD owned, and all the other space agencies are owned by the Vatican and Elizabeth. They do not tell you you're in the abyss because they are owned and operated by the Sith. It is coven law that each coven must identify itself with a registered coven symbol, which is called a sigil. The vector symbol is the sigil of the Sith Lords, which are the 7 system lords. These are the 7 candlesticks of Baal. 3 dots represent the 3 kings, the 3 Ptolemies, Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars.
The vector, NASA's official logo. If you've ever looked at NASA's official logo, both their official insignia and their official seal, you'll see that the most prominent object in the seal is a red swooshing object. They call that the chevron or the vector. If you ask NASA's Public Affairs Office, this symbology is featured so heavily in their insignia and seal, they'll give you what really amounts to the standard facile cover story for the unilluminated. They'll tell you that that is a representation of a hypersonic wing design from the 1950s, which was the time the logo was created. Not exactly the case. Someone might want to ask the Russian Federal Space Agency, Roscosmos, that was formed in 1992, why they chose that same logo. And while you're at it, you can go ask the Chinese, who formed their space agency in 1996, why in the world they're using a hypersonic wing design from the 1950s as their official logo. Then you can ask the Japanese, the South Koreans, Taiwanese, Malaysia, Mexico, Iran, all of these countries, even Bulgaria. They all utilize the vector symbology in their space agency logos for their national space agencies. It gets even deeper. You can go look at the individual manned program patches for NASA. The Mercury program, for example, a blatant use of covert symbology. In every logo dealing with the Mercury program, you'll see what looks like a number 7 in their logo. And again, NASA's official story is that they put this number 7 there so that they could pay homage to the original 7 Mercury astronauts. Kind of forgetting the fact that only 6 Mercury astronauts actually flew into space, because number 7 never did. Deke Slayton had a heart problem, so he didn't get to go up. So there were only 6 Mercury astronauts. Yet there's a 7 in every single logo. That's in the official mission or official program insignia for Mercury, as well as the 6 individual mission patches carry this logo. And it carries on to the Space Shuttle program. If you look at the Apollo logo has a big letter A in it. At least that's what they want you to believe, but it's not. Again, that's just a simple way of explaining away the inclusion of this vector symbology in the logo. If you go to the Space Shuttle program, the original Space Shuttle STS program patch is a triangular patch that, again, hides the use of the chevronic vector symbology. And that also goes for many of the STS-specific mission patches. Every single one of the International Space Station expedition patches carry the vector symbology. The Russian Mir space station used the vector symbology. That was their official logo. And you can even go deeper and look at military-industrial complex companies. Look at the logo on a company like Lockheed Martin, 2 vectors. The X Prize logo, Ames Research Labs, U.S. Space Command. When you get into the military realm, the United States Space Command, their official logo is the vector symbol. And when you look at the military's individual space-specific programs, all of them deal with vector symbology in their official insignias. And the question really becomes, who or what are these people paying homage to? And the truth, quite frankly, is out of this world.
This painting, entitled The Madonna with Saint Giovannino, was made sometime during the 1400s. The artist's name is not known, but at first glance you can notice a UFO shape in the sky to the right side of the Madonna. If you were to see the original full-size painting, you would see the object clearly. Looking at the enlargement, you can see a man and his dog standing and looking up at the object. However, this painting has something else being depicted. On the left side of the painting, you see the sun and some vector-like objects seemingly flying from or toward the sun. Perhaps this artist was trying to tell us something. In another painting of the Madonna made by a completely different artist, the unusual patterns of the sun and the vector-like symbols have also been added prominently on the Madonna's cloak. You can see the same symbology on this painting as on the one before. This time, however, there is no UFO object to be seen anywhere in the sky. This footage was taken over Mexico City in 2002. There were many other videos and photographs taken of this same type of object, clearly resembling the shapes as seen on the visor of the astronaut, on the moon, and depicted in the 14th century paintings of the Madonna and Child. There is probably a larger story behind the vectors, but it is very unusual this symbology has been adapted by all the United States and foreign space agencies, especially enemies like Iran and others who are also making missions to the moon.
This is an image of the Sith at the sun. They had complete control of planet Earth. No mortal man could fight them back. Any who didn't comply were killed. They owned the corporations which ran the sciences and education. And this is how they were able to lie about the true nature of space.
There's no inside structure.
Is it hollow?
Yeah, there's only a surface. There's nothing inside.
Is the sun actually, do you believe, combusting in on
It's
itself?
not burning anything. There's no fusion in the sun. That's well understood.
Proven.
Yeah, well, there's just not the way to prove that there is any. It's only in the flares that you get fusion. That's why all the X-rays. The flares, the arcs, and the X-rays, and the microwaves, and whatever result of fusion in the arcs. There's no fusion in the sun. They don't know how the sun works.
Why do you, what's special, how does the sun make light?
It's a transformer. Transforms from some other dimension. It's not burning anything. It doesn't have to. It's a converter.
Of what?
I don't know. Nobody knows. But that's what it does. That's the only thing it can do, because that's how everything works.
Transforming from another dimension.
Yeah, you could say it's taking energy from another dimension, counter space. There's no energy, actually. You can't, most of it you can't even measure in outer space or see.
You can't see.
No, you can't see the sun in free space.
So the sun is not visible in outer space.
Not in free space. It's only invisible when gross matter becomes involved, like the Earth's atmosphere and envelope and the surface of the moon or whatever. That makes the light. Otherwise, there is no light. You can see the moon, you can see the Earth, but you can't see the sun or you can't see the stars.
But you can see the planets and the satellite.
Right. You can see material objects, but you cannot see the sources of light. There is no light until there's a material object.
To reflect off.
So that means there's no time delay. So the whole time delay thing is meaningless. It doesn't take light years. There are no light years because there's no light. So that means that the light you see from the distant stars isn't 4 million years old. It could be only minutes old. It could be instantaneous. All the theories collapse when you can't see the stars in outer space.
Lilith put a firewall around the black sun in order to hide it from our view. It also hid the Eye of Horus and the Papal Key, which is their gate. The stolen mat is wrapped around Anne's ark. The EM field is not a protection. It is an AI net Ra put around us to hold us captive. It is the origin of the Smith program, the holographic sky. NASA represents it on patches as an electron field surrounding Earth. The Greeks called it the 12 Ethers. This is not a camera lens. The rings are always on the side of the sun. The poles are inside, not outside. And when it's in motion, the planets go right off the screen. These are called the masts of polarity. Their purpose is to divide polarity among the populations. The negative polarity is drawn to the left mast. The positive polarity is drawn to the right mast. They flash in time with the sun's mast. At the time of the division of the families, the left mast is bound and the right mast moves off. That's why they called it the left-hand path of Set. And why they told you there were only two paths, the right-hand path of God and the left-hand path of Set. Another function of the mast is that extended, they act as a guide rail along the tracks, which allows the planet to leave its pole and fly independently. One of the things that Anne's New World Order did was use HARP to break off the masts on Earth in an attempt to sabotage our move. God and the Allied forces worked around this by repairing what could be repaired and bringing in a tow. Earth is shown at the top of our pole, which is called being T'd. We were in T- countdown to leave the pole that held Anne and the Asgartha tunnels. Elizabeth and the Covens and Rothschild have run a company store system on the people with the express purpose of stripping the cash from all the nations. They have been using our labor and our natural resources to build ships, to aid the L, to fight against the allied forces of mankind who are being led by one himself. He's come for his missing children. The other branches have come for theirs who are in human form. Time works differently here on this side of the gate. It's been approximately 100 years. On his side, it's only been closer to 10. He never forgot about us. After defeating Anne, he sent the entire fleet after us. On February 24th, 2007, all the arcs entered. As one large force, they started plowing the path. On the right side of the image is the mob. They are plowing down the poles as they get in the way. The illusion that this is a stationary object because it's always on the far side of the screen is just that. It's an illusion. This is Saturn confronting him. NASA cut 5 days off here.